Hey there! Welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. This time it should be a fairly short one. I know I've said that before and then droned on, haven't I? But looking for a fairly short one. This time we're talking about off-trail things. What some hikers would consider mundane things. And yet, they are topics that I see pop up all the time in the online hiker groups. So I decided, hey, just, maybe we should talk about those topics. So some of the mundane things, like you see people post all the time, hey, I was out backpacking and such, this and that happened, and now my tent smells just like that. Sometimes it's skunk, sometimes it is it's BO, because you were on a long backpack trip and your tent, your your clothing, things like that smell like, and I've washed it several times and I can't get the smell out. Some people actually don't like the smell of, like, say, campfire smoke and stuff. And how do I get that smell out? I kind of like that smell. I wish they'd sell that cologne. But how do I get that smell out? And one of the key things, and it's a lot, I see a lot of people suggest it online, so it's not like it's an unknown thing. It's not a secret, but there are still plenty of other people still asking that question who don't know it. One of the best odor fighters that's really easy to do is vinegar. Regular plain white vinegar. Do not use apple cider vinegar or stuff like that, any kind of a flavored vinegar, gourmet vinegar, no. But regular, excuse me, regular just, white vinegar. We actually keep a whole jug of it in the, because we're a household that we have athletes. My wife is a cross-country coach. My youngest is on the cross-country team, although she can't compete right now, unfortunately. And we do a lot of gardening stuff, and we deal with things like, now we even have chickens. We have a little urban farm going on, so we have chickens, we have dogs, we have things like that going on. And so, yeah, clothes get smelly, and the regular detergent doesn't always take care of that odor. Vinegar does it. So, like I was saying, we keep a whole jug of vinegar in our laundry room and things like that. And so most modern washers now have the thing where you can add, like, liquid fabric softener and stuff like that. That's what you do. You can either pour the white vinegar directly on the clothing a little bit, or you pour it in that fabric softener thing that's made to take liquid. You kind of pour that in there, a decent amount that you think is going to work, and then you run the laundry cycle the normal way, and voila. That should take care of, maybe it might take a second running, but for the most part, after one running, that should tackle anything. Vinegar is fantastic for lots of stuff, by the way. We use it even in the non-clothing thing. Hey, I was in the middle of a recording and got a phone call. Isn't that great? Wow. Anyway, as I was saying, even for non-hiking things, vinegar is fantastic. We actually use white vinegar sometimes in our kitchen as just something to wipe the kitchen counter down. If we really have been dealing with stuff, we'll use, like, regular bleach cleaner and things like that. But just for, like, just spritzing up and making your kitchen be a little fresher, vinegar is a great cleaner. It really is, and it's a natural cleaner that there's no crazy chemicals in it and stuff like that, but it does. It works well. So vinegar, at least for the laundry thing. Other thing we're going to talk about is also laundry related. I see a lot of people complain about, and they just, a lot of them don't know that, hey, I bought this new clothing and it sucks. I washed it and it shrank, or it bled in my laundry. What the heck is going on? And da-da-da-da. Okay, so for almost any athletic clothes, whether you're a runner, a hiker, or anything, we buy the clothes that wicks moisture away from our body and things like that. And most of those clothing are synthetic materials, or they are like merino wool, or some kind of material like that. Those materials You just can't throw them in the washer, hot water, and all this kind of stuff. Um, you have to know how to launder those things, and I think a lot of hikers don't understand that. Most of the time, the tags will tell you what to do. But so here you go. Here's how to do laundry for almost any kind of hiking clothing. If you're hiking in if you're just hiking in just regular clothes, jeans and a t-shirt, hey, power to you. That's okay if you want to do that. I'm not. I tend to try and use the wicking materials and stuff like that, but you can just kind of launder that normal. Any kind of cotton stuff and things, yeah, launder that normal. But any of the kind of material, especially the synthetics, that wick moisture and all those kinds of elements that a lot of us hikers like to have, they have to be on gentle cycle, cold water, and you don't ever use fabric softener or any of that kind of stuff on them, because that will break down their ability to wick and just kind of mess with the threads and stuff like that. And if you wash them in hot water, the colors will often bleed, and they will shrink down or shrivel up and things like that. And then when you put them in the dryer, you also have the option of hang drying, which is almost best. But I don't hang dry those things. There's certain things I will hang dry. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but like, for example, my wife being a cross-country coach, her sports bras, they get sweaty. I do a lot of laundry because I'm retired. She's still working full-time, plus coaching. So I'm a nice guy, and I have picked up a lot of the household duties because I'm retired. So when I'm not making awesome videos like this and hiking or taking care of the chickens, I am doing household duties and helping out with that. So I'll do the laundry. And so when those come through, the sports bras and things like that, gentle cycle, cold water, and then they hang dry, because then they keep their shape and their ability to support. So yeah, almost any of that kind of thing. And then like I was saying, the synthetic fabrics and stuff like that, you can either hang dry them, and they dry pretty quickly. That's one of the advantages. One of the reasons why hikers use them is because they dry a lot faster than things like, say, cotton and stuff like that. Or if you're going to put them in the dryer, you put them on gentle cycle, gentle heat, low heat. Which usually means it's going to take a little bit longer for them to fully dry as they're tumbling around and stuff like that. But you got to put them on low heat, because, again, the high heat will either shrivel them up or shrink them, things like that. So kind of mundane stuff, right? But it's, when you get done with a backpack trip, you come home, you're going to have to do things like laundry and stuff like that. And I have seen online people comment about, I'm never going to buy such and such product again, because I threw it in the washer after one washing. It doesn't even fit me anymore. It shrank, or it turned my entire load such and such color because the colors bled and blah, blah, blah. And 9 times out of 10, other people who are in the know, well, what did you do? Did you set it on this? Did you do this and that? Oh, I just put it in there with the rest of my laundry. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they put it in there with hot water on non-gentle cycle, and then they're complaining that their clothing is messed up. But the clothing itself, most of the time, if you read the tag, even tells you gentle cycle, no heat, cold water, things like that. Some of them will tell you to hang dry, and if you're not going to hang dry, it better be gentle cycle in the whatchamacallit, in the dryer. So, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why we have tags and things. We live in a world where candy bar manufacturers have to put on their candy bars unwrap item before eating. That's the kind of world we live in. There are people out there who have to be told to unwrap the candy bar before putting it in their mouth and chewing it. So we also live in a world where people have to be told, hey, this particular material that, is nylon and things like that, yeah, don't subject it to a lot of heat. Anyway, and the third thing I'm going to go over that's kind of more of a mundane thing is storage of our gear. A lot of people are like, what are you talking about? I just kind of throw it out there. It's, once it's clean and things like that. Excuse me. Oh, and one real quick thing on laundry is generally for some sleeping bags, especially the synthetic stuff, synthetic sleeping bags, you can do a gentle cycle, fast cycle in a washing machine. I've done it many times. And then you hang to dry, or again, low heat dry. to get those clean if your sleeping bag needs to get clean and things like that. That usually will work. Now, a full natural down sleeping bag, I would not do that. I would spot clean those as needed, and then hang up to let the spots dry and things like that. I would not throw that kind of a sleeping bag into a machine or quilt, anything that's made of that. So just kind of keep that in mind. But storage of gear, for general gear, I basically store my stuff in the garage. But I don't know about you guys, but that's usually the weak point for issues with things like mice or little vermin like that and things like that, depending on where you live. Even in a big city, you're going to get mice and rats. They're everywhere. The little munchkins are everywhere. And so I buy those big, they're like giant garage Tupperware, big plastic things, big enough to fit some of my gear in, and so I will put it there, and I will put it up on a shelf. I have we have our garage semi-organized. It needs to be cleaned, but it's semi-organized, and we have shelves for this shelf is for the Christmas decorations. This shelf is for the extra stuff that we get out for certain things. Oh, this is our camping shelf. This is our backpacking shelf, and things like that. So I will put my backpack, stove, things like that kind of thing inside this bin. It's up on a shelf that keeps the vermin off of it, and no issues. And then when I need it, I need to bring my backpacking stuff in to get ready for a trip. I just grab that bin and this bin here, bring it inside, and I've got my backpacking stuff. It's all organized. It's not scattered all over the place. Backpacking clothing, I have a drawer set aside in my dresser, and that's where anything I wear for hiking or backpacking is in there. And then things like my sleeping bag, most people know this now because it's kind of fairly common, but a lot of the new folks might not know this. But you really shouldn't store your sleeping bag, especially if you've got a nice little backpacking sleeping bag that compresses down really good into the stuff sack so you can get it really small. You don't want to store it like that. You want to store it either laid out if you can, or like hung somewhere safely, and things like that. Generally, what I do is I have a section of closet. We have a long, almost full wall closet in our bedroom. My wife has half. I have half. Now, most of my clothing that I wear, except for like a suit or two that I own, and things like that, most of my clothing is in my drawers, my dresser drawers. And so I have room in my closet for everything else. I've got like some comics in there. I've got, other stuff stored there and things like that. And one of the things I do is the pole that you would hang hangers on, I slip my sleeping bag over that, and it hangs completely uncompressed and just hangs like that. I will occasionally move it a little bit because you don't want to form a crease if you can help it and things like that. But it hangs there like that, and then when I want to go on a trip, I pull it down, then I stuff it into the sack down as small as I can get it into the old stuff sack, and then it goes in the thing. But then when I come back, I launder it if I have to, clean it if I have to, and then it goes back over to that thing. So you want to store it if you can. If you have a shelf in your closet, you lay it out on the shelf or over the pole in your closet and things like that. Yes, that's going to take up room. If you're the type of person that has a bunch of clothes in your closet, I know a lot of people are. I'm not one of those. I only have a few things that have to be hung up. Most of the clothing I wear does not have to be hung up. It's just folded nicely and put in my dresser. So I have space in my closet to take up, however wide a sleeping bag is, and it's just kind of hanging there. And that also keeps it out of the heat that could happen in the garage. Some places I know out here in California in the Central Valley, the garage is not air conditioned, and it gets pretty hot out there. So we do have to be careful what we put out there, that if it can handle the heat and stuff like that. And I don't have to worry about that with my sleeping bag and things like that because I keep that on the inside where it's room temperature, climate controlled environment. And so that's really that kind of thing. I try and keep my boots stored. We have a little shoe storage area just off of our laundry room. It's a whole module thing with a whole bunch of boxes, cubbies basically, and everybody gets a couple of those. And so I have my hiking shoes and trail runners in one cubby, and then the ones I use for the garden and mowing the lawn in another. Then my wife has her running shoes and then her regular flip-flops for everyday stuff. And the kids have their own cubbies. So you organize them that way. So I keep those inside, safe, and things like that. And that's generally how to do it. You want to try and store your gear where they're not going to be hammered by the elements, exposed to too much cold or heat. Because although they are outdoor gear, I mean, my backpack is made to be outdoor, right? Constant beating of heat is not going to be, it's going to eventually make material brittle and things like that. And any kind of plastic on it will get brittle eventually. That's just going to happen no matter what kind of plastic it is. Eventually, if it is exposed to high heat all the time or over cold all the time, it could cause a problem with it. So you want to keep that in mind when you're storing stuff. So that's really the more mundane things I was going to talk about as far as hiking. When you're off the trail, you still have to think of some of these kinds of things and kind of like, oh yeah, that's something I have to think about. So I hope this was helpful, especially if you're a beginner and you didn't realize some of this stuff. Any comments or questions? As always, comments down below, wherever else I post this crazy video. And also, as always, at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. You can get a hold of me there as well. And other than that, thanks so much for watching another episode of Hiker Homily, and I will talk to you next time.